Hey again, I'm coming at you with kind of an impromptu fast impressions video on XCOM 2. You might know that XCOM 2 released back at the beginning of the year, came out on consoles a few weeks ago, finally, in my case. I was eagerly awaiting the console release of this game. The first XCOM, Enemy Unknown, that had a great console port, and it came out simultaneously with the main game. So, you know, there was a part of me that was a little disappointed when Firaxis did not do that again. But I figured it's for the best. You know, we're waiting out all the glitches and stuff that the PC players might have to go through during the initial period, and it'll work out. I'm gonna get this part out of the way first. XCOM 2 is a great game. I think it's a lot of fun. I've put a lot of time into it since its release. There have been all sorts of great incremental changes to the characters themselves via weapon mods, a lot more equipment that's interesting and viable. More importantly though, you have all these great unpredictable new enemy types. Procedural map generation that is so smartly programmed that it does not feel procedural at all. And of course, all sorts of new mission types that force you to really be quick on your feet. All of that stuff is excellent. It makes the game a lot more alive than it was before. And it's very conducive to replayability. It's a great sequel, it's a great game, I enjoy it a lot. If you didn't play the first XCOM, you should still absolutely give this one a shot. You know, this is very much Firaxis making their own XCOM game. I know they made the previous one, that was obviously a reboot of the original game from the 90s. This really is Firaxis' vision of what they want to do, and I think it's awesome. But this video is really more about the issues that the port of this game has. I have the game on PS4, but I have done my share of research to figure out how people on Xbox One are faring, how other PS4 users are faring, and I've watched a lot of footage of the PC version because I just wanted to make sure what issues were on that game that are still on this and what aren't. This is really unfortunate because the game is totally playable. You know, you can definitely get it on console and play it and you'll have a great time. But this is not a good port. It's just not. And I got a bad feeling about this when I booted the game up and saw two different company logos that I'd never heard of before. And it probably shouldn't have, but you know. Now, the game looks fine on console, but it doesn't run fine at all. You know, the frame rate is capped at 30. I don't care about that. This isn't a game where the frame rate matters that much because it's entirely turn-based. Your reflexes don't really matter. It should at least be a stable 30. And it's not. It dips a lot, and all sorts of circumstances that can come up during your play session, they'll make it worse. You know, if there's fire, certain particle effects, if things get destroyed, the frame rate will really chug. It'll be single digits sometimes. You know, that stuff is not fun. And it takes away from a lot of the cool stuff in the game. The action camera is much better this time around. There's some cool effects that you can see while you're fighting. They don't look cool when the frame rate can't handle them. So that's definitely a problem. And it gets worse as the game goes along. Even the geoscape menu will lag kind of later in the game. I had a few crashes, a few weird glitches that actually messed with my gameplay. These were rare, but they are problematic. One time I hit the reload button and my character fired their heavy weapon, but it didn't appear to actually hit anything. They just wasted their ammo. That was very strange. I've had at least two instances where for whatever reason, none of my soldiers can see the enemies. They can see them, you can see them, but they are not selectable as targets. The only way to fix this glitch was to damage the enemies using weapons like grenades, and that's not always possible since you have a limited amount. That glitch has me very worried because I'm trying to play the game on a higher difficulty, and that almost ruined one of my missions. The single biggest problem is the load times. Load times were an issue with the original version of this game on PC. It's my understanding that that was sort of mitigated. The problem here, I think, is different than that version. Normally the load times are okay. It can take a while to actually load the game from the main menu, but that's pretty much a one-time thing. The big problem is that load times for going into and out of a mission increase exponentially the farther along you are in the campaign. I've never seen a game have this problem before. It's really bizarre, and it makes playing the game in the late game a real chore, because I'm not exaggerating. The load times have gotten between 5, 7, sometimes even 10 minutes long. And the worst part is that all of these glitches compounded each other. They all became a nightmare in the final mission, where I had to deal with a poor frame rate consistently, loading screens taking 10 minutes. This stuff is frankly unacceptable, and I am personally worried as to whether or not 2K is committed to patching this version of the game. It's been weeks. Many people on the XCOM 2 subreddit have documented these concerns. I have filed several tickets with 2K's website, but I'm not sure if anything will really be done. I can confirm that some Firaxis employees, they're listening and they know these are problems, but I don't know if this stuff will actually get fixed. If this stuff isn't fixed, then I can't recommend getting XCOM 2 on console at full price, because for some people this will really be a deal breaker. It's not a deal breaker for me because I'm able to work through it, but I know that I'm not everyone. It's a shame because I enjoy strategy games on the console. They can be a lot of fun, and playing XCOM 2 with a PS4 controller or Xbox One controller is actually something you can't do on the PC version for some very strange reason. So if that's something that you enjoy, this is the way to go. It's not the way to go in this state. I really hope that they can figure this issue out and solve the problems with the port. If they can't, it has me very worried for the future of XCOM. If an expansion pack comes out for this game, I would not assume that we would get a good port of that either, and it has me worried in the event that an XCOM 3 comes out. It took them an awful lot of time to get this one on PS4, and ultimately the wait wasn't as worth it as I thought given the technical issues. So I would be very skeptical when they start talking about XCOM 3 and their plans for that on console. But that is all speculation. Hopefully this will help out people on console. I mean, you hear people complaining about PC ports being really bad. You know, it happens the other way too every once in a while. I can't get as worked up about it as some people out there, and I don't regret my purchase or anything like that because I am still playing the game. It's a lot of fun. But XCOM 2 came out on consoles with very little marketing, so I think it's pretty easy for people to not know what's going on with the port and buy it and then feel disappointed. Hopefully this video will stop stuff like that from happening.